If I could turn back time, I'd tell you how I made this costume based on what Cher wore in the classic 1980s music video for If I Could Turn Back Time. So here we go. So the origin of this Cher costume goes all the way back to 2004 on Halloween. So I grew up loving this song and this music video because it was so ridiculous. You're probably familiar with it. Cher is wearing basically what I'm wearing, dancing around on a US naval ship surrounded by a bunch of sailors and Navy folk. And it was such a ridiculous thing. And I had this club night that I would go to. So I lived in New Orleans, and I would go down to the French Quarter, and my favorite club night, my friend Connor was the DJ at this club night, right? And they would play like electro clash and like electronic music and whatever was popular at the time. Not Cher from the 80s. This was not a thing that would be played at that club at all. But my best friend and I had this habit of like asking Connor, the DJ, to play ridiculous songs. And so one night, it was maybe like a month or so before Halloween, I was like, if I dress up as Cher from the music video to If I Could Turn Back Time, will you play that song on Halloween? And he was like, yes, if you do that, yes, I will play that song in this club on Halloween. So not one to step down from a challenge to do something ridiculous in public, I made it my mission to make this costume. So quite a few years ago, I made a blog post on my website, you can still find it there, where it's basically an instructional guide about how I make this costume, because once I started posting about it, talking about it, I realized like other people want to make this costume too. I wasn't the only one, I wasn't the first one by far, but it was really hard to find like kind of a step-by-step tutorial. I had to figure it out myself. I'm pretty crafty. I used to make a lot of crafty things and sell upcycled clothing at art markets and all this stuff. So I figured it out myself. So what I did initially for the costume was this very, very well-worn now fishnet bodysuit. I just ordered I don't know if you can see, it's kind of got a little bit of a sparkle to it like woven into the fishnet. So I ordered this plain fishnet bodysuit and then I had to modify it. So this is tricky because fishnet, I'm sure if you're familiar with any sort of like pantyhose material or fishnet material, it looks it's like a lot smaller when it's not on a human being or on a body or whatever. So this was a very tricky process of me having to sew it and alter it like while I was wearing it, like kind of taking it on, taking it off, taking it on, taking it off. So I cut, if you can see, I cut right here along the thigh in order to make this sort of thigh-high garter situation that you see. And this fabric, this garter stuff that I added to it is kind of a stretch velvet. So that's what this part is also made out of. So the V covers everything. And so this is all, I had to pretty much hand sew all of it. I had a sewing machine at the time. I think I can see I sewed the fabric itself, the velvet fabric, so it wouldn't fray, but then in order to attach it to the fishnet, I hand sewed it using like a whip stitch. And so in order to sew certain parts of it, like underneath my crotch, for example, I couldn't sew what I couldn't see myself. So I had to enlist some help. My best friend, my lovely best friend, helped sew some of it, as did my boyfriend at the time. So that was an adventure. So if you're planning to make this costume yourself, just be forewarned, you might have to enlist some help from some friends. The other interesting thing about this costume, so the body part is really the tricky part, and then you just find like, you know, a jacket and the wig and the ridiculous makeup and the boots and everything. But if you've seen the video and you've paid close attention, you'll notice that Cher seems to have these rose tattoos on her butt. And I was like, if I'm gonna be true to the video, I need the rose tattoos. So when I first wore this back in 2004, I was like 21 and I didn't wear anything under it. I just literally wore this fishnet bodysuit. And so I got fake rose tattoos, which lasted on my butt for like the next 3 days. They were really hard to get off. It was a great costume. It worked out great, but it was really hard to get off. So then flash forward many years later. So about 10 years later, after I made this costume originally, I started doing drag performance. I did this program called the New Orleans Drag Workshop, and for a brief couple of months or so, I actually performed professionally as a drag performer on Bourbon Street. And so I knew I wanted to be able to wear this costume more frequently, and I didn't want to have to put rose tattoos on my butt every single time I did. That was gonna be really annoying. So I had this nude bodysuit, which I'm wearing underneath it right now. I got this nude bodysuit, and I had my friend Elizabeth Ziblich, who is a costume designer here in New Orleans. She's known as Crafty Little Devil. She came over one day, and I paid her to do this, and she painted rose tattoos onto my butt on the nude bodysuit. So now, So now there's always rose tattoos whenever I wear this costume, and I don't have to scrape gross fake tattoo stuff crust off of my butt. It's great. This costume, it amazes me. So I made this costume more than 15 years ago, and it has gotten so much mileage. I feel really great that I can still like fit into it and wear it so many years later. I've worn it for Halloween, obviously. I've worn it to Dragon Con in Atlanta, which I used to go to regularly for many years. It's a big sci-fi fantasy geek convention that happens there. I have worn it obviously to lip sync as a drag performer in clubs. I've done some Instagram stuff. If you follow me on Instagram, I did a party, a dance party thing right after the start of COVID-19 for my Patreon folks, like a little dance for 30 minutes wearing this costume. I got so hot, y'all. This is like, it's not, I'm wearing a jacket inside with like a light coming at you to, you know, to be well lit for video. It gets very hot. So one of my favorite opportunities to wear this costume and perform in this costume came last year. I was participating in a program called Heroic Public Speaking, which is basically like grad school for professional speakers and public speakers of all kinds. And so I was traveling back and forth about once a month from New Orleans up to Lambertville, New Jersey and New Hope, Pennsylvania, which are right next door to each other, for this program. And so when I first started the program, we had discovered that in New Hope, on, I think it was Monday nights, they had karaoke. And so we started going, and it was like every month we would go up there would be the karaoke night, and a bunch of us would go, and the group kind of grew bigger and bigger and bigger, and it became this thing. And I would promise them that on our last night there, like on our last session that we went up, I was gonna bring my Cher costume, and I was gonna do karaoke to If I Could Turn Back Time. So I bring this costume, pack it in my suitcase, get all dolled up in the hotel. We drive over there, and I had checked on their Facebook and everything, this club, I had checked to make sure that the schedule was still the same, but I couldn't really find any details saying that it had changed in any way, right? So we get there, and I go into the bathroom, and I see a sign that that night the schedule was changing, and instead of karaoke happening when it always happened, there was gonna be a new thing, which was a drag show, which I was like, this is fortuitous / I just got dressed up and I'm dressed up as Cher at a drag show, and I didn't know there was a drag show, and I thought it was gonna be karaoke, and it was like this whole thing, right? And so my friend Gail, she had also decided to dress up to go along with this karaoke situation. She decided to be Sonny Bono, even though, you know, by the time Cher did this music video, she was no longer with Sonny Bono. But anyway, Gail was gonna dress up as Sonny Bono. So we get to this club. I was like, I don't know what to do. I mean, this is cool because like it's a drag show. I love a drag show, and a lot of my friends from this program had never been to a drag show before too. So that was like exciting. I was like, oh, I get to go to your first drag show. Great. And so my friend Gail, being the amazing connector of people, human being that she is, found whoever was running this drag show and talked them into letting me perform my number as Cher to If I Could Turn Back Time. So I was like unexpectedly in this drag show in Pennsylvania. It was so much fun. I like doing that for a bunch of my friends who I adored at this point, who had never seen a drag show at all, was pretty spectacular. So yeah, that's basically the story of the Cher costume. It comes out every once in a while. I love to dress up as Cher and perform and clown around. I love to dress up as lots of things. I have so many costumes. My costume closet is full of things. I have everything ranging from a Ziggy Stardust era David Bowie to like 80s party girl, kind of, this one costume is one of my favorites. I have so many things. So if you are ever looking for a fun costumed entertainer to be an MC or a like dance hype girl situation, karaoke host, I don't know, whatever, what are we doing these days? Like events are like a weird thing now, so it's open to interpretation. Hit me up, give me a call. Phones don't look like this anymore, do they? I don't know. I'm using my phone to record this, so